British Columbia Provincial Nomination Program. There's a lot of myths regarding how does it work and how can you become a permanent resident through the Bcpnp. And usually these lead to a lot of confusion amongst the applicants. Now, let's first try to address some of the concerns or very common concerns or myths about the Bcpnp. So the first being and the most common being that do you require IELTS in order for you to be eligible, or any language proficiency test, maybe it be CELPIP or TEF or TCF, in order for you to be eligible for Bcpnp? Well, if your job offer falls under category O or A, NOC category, then you do not require IELTS or any of the language proficiency test. But if it falls under B, C, D, then you do require to give the language proficiency test, which must be in last 2 years. Just keep one thing in mind, that you know what, although you don't need to give the language proficiency test, but it actually gives you a benefit when it comes to the point calculation. How the point calculation works and how can the language proficiency test help you gain points in that we are going to talk about later in the video. Then the next one, that the question that comes up is that I am at a particular age. Does it allow me to actually even dream about becoming a permanent resident through Bcpnp, or how does it works in my favor or against? Well, as far as the age factor is concerned, you do not get any points. Well, not in support or not against if there's you have crossed a certain age, because under the Bcpnp they have not allotted any points for the age. So no plus, no minus. Then there's also a concern that if I'm outside Canada, can I still apply for Bcpnp with a job offer? Yes, you can. Even if you're outside Canada, you are still eligible in order for you to apply for one of the Bcpnp streams, or maybe multiple. Now, then the next question comes in is that, do I require an Lmia for the job offer? No, you don't. You just need a job offer, but it must be coming from an employer who meets the employer requirement of the Bcpnp. So this is how the Bcpnp usually people have myths about it. But then how does it work? And how through Bcpnp you can become permanent resident, or you can apply permanent residency? Because a provincial nomination certificate is not is not a status document. You still require your permanent residency application to be approved by IRCC in order for you to stay in Canada and become permanent resident. So how does the Bcpnp assist you with that? So the very first thing to understand is that not all programs under Bcpnp fall under the express entry. What does that mean? That means after getting the provincial nomination certificate from Bcpnp, or after getting your Bcpnp application approved, it's not that you can simply go into express entry and claim 600 points. So there are some streams under which, if you do get the provincial nomination, you have to apply under the non-express entry application stream for permanent residency. And there are certain specific ones under which, if you qualify, you can obviously gain 600 points in the express entry. But if you have to apply under EEBC, or in order for you to be eligible, what it's called express entry British Columbia provincial nomination programs, in order for you to be eligible under that, you first need to be eligible in express entry, or one of the substreams of the express entry. So express entry in itself has 3 different substreams, which is federal skilled worker, the federal trade worker, and then the CEC, Canadian Experience Class. So first you need to be eligible in one of those categories, and then the next thing comes in that you apply under Bcpnp under the EEBC program. What programs are these? How does these program work? What is the individual requirement? So although, as we talked, one is skills immigration. That's what it's called for the non-express entry, where you don't need to meet the criteria for express entry in order to be eligible for Bcpnp. And another one is EEBC. So how they basically have almost similar programs is just one or two programs which are very specific to skills immigration, because in express entry you won't actually qualify with that kind of an experience. So the first one that we're going to talk about, international graduates. So if you have completed your education from British Columbia from a public school, it's very important to notice that that it's only for public educational institutions. If you have completed your studies from a private institution, you do not qualify under the Bcpnp international graduate. Neither do you qualify under skills immigration nor in the EEBC international graduate. So in order for you to be eligible, you must complete your education in BC from a public institution in the last 3 years. Must be done. Once you have done your education in next 3 years, you can apply under this thing. But again, you require a job offer in NOC category O, A, or B. And your employer, the one who's issuing you the job offer, must meet the employer requirement, and obviously they need to be eligible as an employer. So if they meet the requirements and you meet your requirements, you can proceed ahead. Now, there are some general requirements for each of these programs, and one such is the family income. The family income is specifically divided into a matrix in which it depends upon the family size, how many family members you have, including yourself, and also if you are located in the Greater Vancouver Regional District, or you're located outside of that area, or the rest of the BC, what we call. So based upon that, obviously you can check on the Bcpnp website what exactly is that amount, and you have to meet that requirement. And all the streams, all the applicants in all the streams have to meet that requirement, that certain requirement. Now that's for, anyways, we were talking about international graduate. Then the next one comes in the international postgraduate. That basically means that if you have completed your education, which was up to the level of master's or PhD in BC, British Columbia, from a public institution, you are eligible to apply under this particular category. And the beauty about this one, and this is the only program under which it is such that you do not require the job offer from a BC-based employer. So without the job offer, you can apply for a international postgraduate stream under both the categories. Then the next group, the next stream, as I must say, comes in the skilled worker. So under the skilled worker, skilled worker basically means under the category O, A, and B. So if you have a 2-year work experience, you must have a 2-year work experience in Canada or outside Canada, directly related to the job being offered, then you are eligible to apply under the skilled worker. Again, your employer needs to meet the criteria as well. So that's for, and this experience must be in a certain time, in last, let's say, 5 years, right? Now, this is for skilled worker category. And again, this is same under skills immigration as well as the EEBC skilled worker category. Then the next one comes in the entry-level semi-skilled. So entry-level semi-skilled, as the name suggests, targets NOC category C and D applicants. But it works in a bit different fashion. So it only targets certain industry or certain industries or NOC categories which are working in that particular industries. So these industries are obviously long-haul trucking, your travel and accommodation, and the food processing. So if you fall under these industries, then and there's particular NOC codes, then you can apply with a 9-month work experience. You just require a 9-month work experience in order to apply under this particular category. Again, your employer still needs to meet the requirement. Now, another part of the same program is that if you are based out of the Northeast region, then in any of the CD category job, you can apply under this. You are eligible to apply under this substream. So and then there is one for healthcare workers. Again, it depends upon the NOC codes and everything. Now let's talk about how the Bcpnp point system work, or how does the 200 point system can help you decide that should you even be considering Bcpnp, because you can calculate the points and compare it with the weekly draws and see that if on an average, would you have a possibility of getting the invitation. So these 200 points are basically divided into two major aspects or two major groups. One is economic factor. 60% of the points are coming from economic factors. This includes basically, we are talking about the job offer, that is the job being offered, what skill level it is. You get 60 points for that. You get 50 points for what is going to be the wage level or for the job being offered, right? And then the third one you get is where exactly is your employment or location of your employer. So based upon that, you also get points. The points are divided into 60 points you get for if based upon the skill level. Then you get of the job offer. Then you get the annual wage rate or the wage level of your job offer. So you get 50 points for that, and 10 points is for, as I said, where your job is located. That's about 120 points. So 60% of the 200 points. Rest of the 40%, that's about 80 points, are dependent upon the human capital factor. It's again further divided into three main, and then there's sub points as well. So three main being your work experience. If your work experience is directly related to the job being offered, right, you get certain points that you can claim for that. Then you have certain points that you can claim for if you have what's your highest education. If you have an education even from outside Canada, it doesn't matter. As long as you have the education assessment done through one of the education credential assessment bodies and it's valid. So based upon that, you can claim points under that, and then you do get points for language proficiency. So that's what I meant when I said in the beginning of the video that it's good even if you're under the OA category, although it's not required for you to give the language proficiency test, but it helps you boost the points. So based upon this, you can calculate your points. You can understand that, okay, would you even have a shot at the Bcpnp? And if you do, then I think this is a pretty good program for you. You should apply, and fingers crossed, just wait for the invitation to come. How this process works is that first you apply for an expression of interest. So Bcpnp has its own online system where you can go, you can fill in the details, and they'll automatically calculate the points, let you know that, okay, these are how many points you have, and you're a part of the pool. Then they take out the draw, and if your application gets picked up, well, boom, you get a certain amount of days to submit the application. Once application is submitted, you wait, and once the decision comes out, if they require certain documentation, which the officer requires in order to further make a decision on the application, they'll request for that. If they don't, then if it's a good news day, then you'll get the provincial nomination. Now, along with the provincial nomination, you might also get a letter of work support, or you should get a letter of work support that basically works as an LMI exempt document. So you can use that document to apply for your work permit and get a work permit extension if your work permit is expiring, or you're outside Canada and you want to come down over here. Meanwhile, your application for permanent residency is processed. You can work for the employer.